We have with us Brandon Shopp, Group Vice President Product at SolarWinds. Welcome, Brandon.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Brandon, the SolarWinds IT Reports 2022 clearly indicates that the shift to hybrid IT has only served to increase IT management complexity, and that has created doubt and a lack of confidence among tech professionals. So what advice would you give to those tech professionals who are unsure as to what the best path is for them to take in this hybrid IT world?
Yeah, no, really good question here. And so, hybrid and remote work, has really amplified the impact, that distributed and complex environments. Not everything is sitting behind, a firewall anymore within a data center. Organizations are now hybrid, running workloads and applications, across both cloud and on-premises infrastructure. And that can be challenging, and many organizations are experiencing, and ultimately they're hindered by, these pain points, of really having distributed workloads, and I know, according to a report by IDC, as more and more of these mission critical workloads are moving, to cloud architectures that, span across, multiple public cloud providers, private clouds, as well as hybrid setups and multi-cloud, enterprises recognize they need to invest in tools that will help really to ensure consistent policies, performance, across all the platforms and the end users. And however, they are simultaneously facing challenges, that organizations have been facing for a long time around things like budget, time constraints, as well as, barriers to implementing observability as a strategy to really keep pace with the realities of hybrid IT needs within organizations.
Now, it is inevitable that with any digital transformation, there will be teething problems in terms of finding the right tools and technologies to deploy. However, the report has said that 40% of respondents believed outdated staff skill set was a major contributing factor and a driver in increased complexity. So my question again is, what advice would you give to IT departments that don't have the team with the adequate skills to manage these new technologies for your IT management, or do you outsource it?
Yeah, no. So a couple of things here. One, 50% of small businesses indicated outdated staff skill sets that are no longer aligned with the new technologies, as the leading cause for complexity. Compared to 22% in the mid-sized organizations and 57% of their enterprise counterparts. So you definitely see, a mix, depending upon the type of organization or the size of organization we're talking about here. But this year's IT Trends Report really illustrates that most businesses are planning to invest only a fraction of their overall IT budget, into new IT management tooling to help address, these rising complexities and the impacts, of these rising complexities. And, comprehensive hands-on training, including the time to really, experiment and learn these new technologies, is really critical. And for technology professionals, that will, ultimately be needed for these organizations to create a workforce that is more secure and confident in their skills. In communicating with management and advocating for greater training to help combat this rising complexity, technology professionals should also stress, application performance, visibility, customer experience, and also product resolution, have a knock-on effect on the business growth, within businesses are much more dependent upon technology than they ever have been before. And so, yes, there are budgetary concerns, but communicating these benefits effectively to business leaders will serve, give them better propensity or chance to really get additional budget approval. If you can tie, not just the fact that I need more money, it's, what is this additional spend going to provide to the business? How is it going to impact the business and the ability for it to succeed and provide a better experience for its customers? So really tying it to, a business value on that front. And so, I think, it is more important than ever to ensure that IT pros are really empowered and confident in navigating these, changing complexities within environments as they support them. Again, today's businesses can ultimately only move at the pace of IT. So if IT is slowing them down, then that's going to impact the growth of the business ultimately and the customers that they're trying to serve.
Absolutely. Now, one of the biggest pain points that was evident from the report was the fact that many businesses and organizations lacked visibility into their applications and infrastructure. Why do you think there is still such a lack of planned investment, despite the fact that it is so clear that IT departments within organizations are struggling without the right tools and resources and need a bigger budget?
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. When asked about current IT monitoring and management strategies, in our report, 58% of respondents, said that they only have the ability to see into about half or less of their applications and their infrastructure. Now if we break that up against other or by business size, 36% of mid-sized businesses and similarly 37% of enterprise respondents, indicated their organizations provide visibility into most of their apps and infrastructure, whereas only 18% of their small business counterparts. So, so again, size of organization is really going to impact, the responses there. In smaller organizations that have smaller IT staff, they're able to see less. They struggle more with that. And so, additionally, easy root cause analysis, the ability to gather metrics from, many different disparate systems, anomaly detection, were also revealed, as the top 3 aspects lacking, from respondents who felt that their current IT monitoring and management strategy really provided less visibility into their apps and infrastructure. And that was at, root cause was at 55%, disparate systems and ability to gather metrics was at 48, and anomaly detection at 45. And so, tackling this complexity at this scale requires investment fundamentally. And this can allow, to run at a higher percentage of spending than it would for a small business. Smaller companies, have to look at potentially outsourcing if they don't have that budget to hire full-time employees, with 1 or 2 consultants to really help them, kind of track that and tackle that problem. Having a cost benefit analysis considers an organization's size and really can help them determine what is the effective route forward. Is there IT tools consolidation that they can do within their environment? How dependent and how well used are some of that tooling? And so, it's going to be a mix of leveraging, existing staff versus leveraging consultants really to help them get a handle on that.
Absolutely. Now, do you believe that the new SolarWinds hybrid cloud observability platform could be the remedy to a lot of the issues that are currently facing IT teams in terms of managing the complexity as the shift to hybrid IT continues to accelerate?
Yeah, short answer is yes. I mean, operational complexity really, prevents organizations from capitalizing on their technology-driven transformation and their investments, and then, delivering those benefits to the end user. You hear about digital experience monitoring. I use the example of the banking service that I use. It doesn't have traditional brick and mortar branches like other banks. Everything is done online via mobile app or via the web. And so, my experience into that organization is purely technology based. And so now as organizations, start to look beyond, the COVID-19 pandemic that we all just experienced and went through, they're going to have to re-examine their investments, from the past few years because, the world has changed. I know folks may not like the phrase of what is a new normal, but it is to an extent, now that we've seen some of these shifts with work from home, they need to really understand what's working, what's not working, as we start to return to office in many organizations. But you see a lot of organizations that are hybrid in nature. And so, again, they shifted as everybody went home to really solving that remote use case. Now that folks are coming back to work, you're going to have that hybrid. They're going to have to re-examine and reevaluate and make sure that their investments and that their focuses are really in the right places on that front, and that they're able, to achieve the ROI, that's targeted, for their projects and their investments that they have made. Now, observability is increasingly becoming clear as an answer for technology professionals, charged with managing greater levels of complexity of these hybrid environments, distributed environments, that are spanning across on-premises, multiple cloud providers, private clouds, etc. And then, additionally, organizations must set aside time and resources, additionally, as talked about previously, to really upskill and train those team members on the team. The challenges and complexities of an on-premises environment are different, than cloud. It's some of the same challenges that we see on the security side. There's not enough cloud skilled engineers out there to really go around across organizations, just like we see in security. So, we really need to invest, in staffing to really bring them up to speed on some of these new technologies, especially at the rate at which a lot of these public cloud providers, AWS and Azure and GCP and others, are innovating with new technologies as well.
Right. Now, what were the other main insights and key takeaways that jumped out at you from the report?
Yeah, and so, one of the things that we've done with this report that we've heard from, we've done this for many years, is, really giving folks the ability to, I say slice and dice it, if you will, that data up. And so we published a IT Trends Index, which is a dynamic web experience, which allows our end users to really explore, the study's findings and additional data, insights, broken down by things like region, with charts, graphs, and socially shareable elements on Twitter and Facebook, things like that. And so, like previous IT Trends reports, this year's study, really featured on the interactive components where, visitors can really go to that web experience and really see and weigh themselves up against, globally or regionally versus other organizations, size of organizations, things like that. And so there's some really, really good data in there that I would recommend, that folks really take a look at. And instead of me trying to summarize, what are all of those different trends, everybody wants to look at the data different. So using that index will allow folks to really consume data the way that makes the most sense for them.
Yes, absolutely. I think the best way to understand this report would be to read more about it. The IT Trends Report 2022. So I would recommend that all our viewers also go through the IT Trends Report, because it does have a lot of in-depth observations and suggestions. So that would be a good starting point to understanding the whole trend scenario. So that was a very insightful conversation, Brandon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you taking the time, and appreciate everybody listening and contributing to the conversation.
Thank you, Brandon.